Why do you do this every day? I can't do this, Johnny! I am losing my mind!
The movie, Joy, is based on the true story of Joy Mangano, who, like most of us, experienced a moment in her life when she felt life was so meaningless. Coming from a broken home of divorced parents, she too ended up divorced with 3 dependent kids in real life. Jumping from one 9-to-5 job to the other, life felt like a prison. Nobody could have guessed that this hopeless woman would end up becoming one of the greatest women inventors and the creator of a $3 billion dynasty. If you feel you are at the bottom of your life and you can't see beyond today, this video is a must watch. Always remember, the secret of great men and women lies in the stories, and our job is to unravel the secret through their journeys. In the movie, the story begins with Joy working as an airline reservation specialist, taking care of her 2 kids, her grandma, and a mother who was always binge watching her favorite soap operas. Down there in the basement was her musician ex-husband, who was also partially dependent on her to survive. Her dad, who was divorced from her mom, was constantly jumping from one woman to another and would always fall back to Joy for solace whenever a relationship goes wrong. For Joy, life was a typical rat race with no purpose and direction. It was all a bid to survive and live for another day. But in her childhood, Joy had a passion for inventing things. One of her inventions, a dog collar to prevent choking, went unnoticed, and someone else patented a similar product. Despite having a tough start and growing up in a troubled home, it seemed like she had a great future ahead of her. But somehow, life always has a different plan, which oftentimes appears like you've committed an unforgivable sin. But according to C.S. Lewis, hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny. Sometimes, some situations that don't seem to make sense are the missing pieces that place us on the path of fulfilling our destiny. For Joy, that began when her father's lover brought him back to her home after another failed relationship. Her father, as usual, brought back the heroes in a once peaceful home. But Joy accepted him back with open arms and asked him to share a room with her ex-husband in the basement. Joy's father, Rudy, owned an auto body shop, and Joy often helped him out with some accounting tasks. At one point, Joy's father connected with another lover through a dating service for widows and widowers. This time around, she was a rich Italian widow named Trudy. In their first meeting, Trudy told Joy's father to invite the entire family to her late husband's sailboat for a family hangout. Little did Joy know how that experience would turn her whole life upside down. During the boat ride, the family decided to make a toast with red wine, but at that point, the boat swayed due to the waves and everyone lost their balance. Some glasses fell and the wine bottle broke. While Joy was trying to clean the boat deck with a mop, she was pierced in her hand with a broken glass. While they were trying to help her clean up the wound, an idea kicked in. She saw a problem that required a unique solution. As once quoted by Michael Jordan, the entrepreneur in us sees opportunities everywhere we look, but many people see only problems everywhere they look. After the idea of a self-ringing mop came to her, she decided it was time to stop running from her true self and make a move forward. At that point, she decided to make the tough decisions. First was asking her husband Tony to get his own home and move out of the basement so she could use it for her designs. Second was asking her father for an opportunity to talk to her lover Trudy about a possible investment opportunity and to use his auto body shop as her workshop. You see, when we decide to make good use of our life, we may often make decisions that could be unfavorable to others. But if you are convinced of the path you are towing, those are decisions we must make. Her next move was to put down the idea on paper and draw out her designs. With this, she pitched the idea to Trudy and other members of her family. While pitching to Trudy, she made it clear to her that this was an opportunity for her to make more money. You see, investors love to make a return on their investments. So when pitching to an investor, there has to be a clear explanation of how you're going to capture value. You can include that in the business model and financial section of your pitch deck if you're using one. Building an MVP. Her first pitch was with a prototype drawn out on paper, but unfortunately nobody understood what she was trying to build. So she went to a workshop with her design and created a minimum viable product, a basic version of a product that met the minimum necessary requirements to use. With this MVP, her next presentation to Trudy was successful because everybody could clearly see the function of the product. So in building your startup, creating an MVP helps to communicate your idea better. It is also a way of getting customer feedback to improve your product and an easier way to get investor buy-in. After being convinced about her product, Trudy asked 4 conditional questions created by her late husband to determine her capacity to run a business and make a positive return on investment. While the first three questions were much simpler, in the fourth question, Trudy asked Joy if she would be ready to pick up a gun against a business rival if the situation warranted. While this was not a call for violent behavior, it was asked to determine Joy's mental toughness, and it also brings to the surface the ruthless side of business. Business is often regarded as a war, and there are times you may need to go the extra mile to protect your empire. It may be a legal battle or innovating faster to beat your competitors. As described by Trudy in the movie, the best comparison to life in commerce is selling in the winter. Also, understand that different investors may have different requirements and conditions, so ensure you are fully aware of that. So Joy accepted all the conditions by Trudy and she requested the sum of $15,000 to get started. But being experienced in business, Trudy told her it could cost more than $15,000, and she was right. Sometimes your estimate might be lower than the reality, so it is safer to have an estimate that is higher than your anticipated cost. Launching into the market. After making her first set of mops, the next mountain to climb was selling her product. Unfortunately, nobody wanted to buy it. None of the stores were interested in showcasing her product, and every attempt to convince passers-by in front of the Kmart stores only resulted in more embarrassment by the police. Having a strong support system. This experience was very discouraging and she felt like giving up. But coming home, she had this grandmother who believed in her so much and who would always encourage her whenever she was down, right from when she was a little girl. Through this, we all need someone who will see the best in us even when the situation appears dark. That person who will constantly remind us that we have greatness hidden inside of us, waiting to be unleashed. For Joy, it was her grandma, her best friend, and even her ex-husband. People like that are worth more than gold. Having a strong support system is vital for every entrepreneur because no one achieves success alone. And sometimes, our big break comes from unlikely sources. For Joy, that moment came when her ex-husband connected her with an old friend who worked in a big TV retailer. This shows that relationships are key in business, so be careful about the bridges you burn. The God factor. When Joy came with her ex-husband to see his old friend, he told them they might need to come back the next day because he was currently busy. But at that moment, the manager of the Cure VC company, Neil Walker, walked in on them, and after being told of their mission, he gave Joy the opportunity to pitch her product to the sales group, who were currently having a meeting with him. Some people call that luck, but I call that the God factor. Develop a thick skin as an entrepreneur. Her first experience trying to convince the sales group about her product was awful. There was lots of laughter, jesting and giggling, which left Joy uncomfortable and confused. It felt like she didn't know what she was doing. Neil Walker tried to dismiss her, but she wasn't ready to give up just yet. She confidently reiterated to him that she was sure her product was better off than anything else out there in the market. You see, if you're not convinced about your product or what you can do, you can never convince another person. In business as in life, to get people to buy your product or use your service or hire you, you must be first convinced about what you have to offer. That is only when you can speak confidently. Seeing the seriousness in her tone, Neil decided to give her another chance to convince him of her product. This time around, Joy was not going to take any chances. She pitched like her life depended on it. Now there are some important lessons to learn from her sales pitch, and these are some of the key secrets to selling. Number one is, always sell the benefits, not the features. Only support the benefits with the features. Secondly, story sell, fact tell. Always infuse a story in your sales or business pitch, and you'll do better. Always innovate. What makes your product different? That also brings us to the next lesson for businesses, innovation. In his book 0 to 1, Peter Thiel said, companies must strive for 10 times better, but merely incremental improvements often end up meaning no improvement at all for the end user. Joy obeyed this rule and ensured that her product was 10 times better than anything else in the market. That gave her a solid competitive advantage and enabled her to sell at a higher price than her competitors. At the end of her pitch, Neil was fully convinced and she asked her to supply 50,000 of her mops the next week. This was an unbelievable moment for Joy. Her life was about to change forever. The secret to successful advertisement. Ever wondered why you constantly see the same ads on the TV or on social media or on billboards, or why you keep getting emails about the same product? In this movie, Neil Walker explained two powerful secrets behind the success of ad companies and marketers. The first secret, while he was giving Joy a tour of the studio, they came across two of his employees who were doing something different from what he had told them earlier. After reminding them of his initial orders, he turned to Joy and told her that a smart guy once stated that sometimes you have to repeat something about 9 times before people begin to hear you. And that is why their TV station is always on 24/7. If you can remember in your life, most of the time you don't buy a product the first time you see the ad. But after you've seen that same ad several times, you end up buying that product. That's some great marketing psychology. For the second secret, while Neil was walking Joy through the studio, they came to a live presentation where two women were promoting a necklace. The one describing the product to the viewers was performing a quick demo, showing the viewers some amazing demonstration of how the necklace will feel in their hands and how it will match the dress. In this case, Neil told Joy the reason why many people fail during their sales presentations is because they fail to connect with people on an emotional level. That is why when you go to buy some exotic or luxurious cars, you are given a test ride because you are more likely to buy when you experience the feel of that car. That is why so many ads on TV try to demonstrate what you will feel when you use the product. And that is why great copywriters use written words to paint a picture of the outcome of using their product. That is one of the core secrets of great advertising. It is also backed up by science. It has been said that your brain cannot differentiate between imagination and reality. For example, your brain produces the stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline, either when you're experiencing a stressful situation or when you are thinking about being stressed. Take some time out. After being asked to produce 50,000 pieces of her mops, she went back home to ask for more funding from Trudy, which was in the region of 200k. Trudy asked her to share in the financial risk by taking out a second mortgage on her home. It was a distressing moment for her, so to ease herself up, she went outside to engage in some target shooting. Being an entrepreneur can be a really stressful situation. Therefore, it's important to take some time out to refresh sometimes. It could be a hangout or some time off work. Health is wealth. And just like Steve Jobs once noted, you don't want to be the richest person in the graveyard. The tragic failure. After she supplied the mops, one of the best sellers with the highest sales figures on the QVC channel named Todd was asked to sell her mop. On that day, everybody was super excited. Joy was watching the TV with the entire family, but unfortunately, Todd messed up the entire presentation and it ended up being a public failure. There was no single sale. The silence in the room that day was deafening. You could hear a pin drop. Everyone except Joy thought it was all over. But refusing to give up, Joy picked up the phone and called Neil. She requested to be given a second chance to sell her product herself on TV. Neil reminded her that only celebrities and spokesmodels were allowed to sell on the QVC channel, but she insisted. This was her entire life on the line, and she wasn't ready to take a no for an answer. She visited Neil in his office and convinced him that it was her who convinced him that the mop was great, even after rejecting it at first. Those words were enough to convince Neil, and he took the risk of letting her appear on TV to sell her miracle mop. One of the key lessons here is no one can tell your story better than you, and sometimes too, we need to give people a chance to prove their potential. The great turnaround. Joy's appearance on TV was a huge success, although it wasn't easy selling on TV for the first time. At first, she had a huge stage fright, but her friend Jackie took up the initiative and called her, pretending to be an interested buyer. This built up the courage for Joy, and this also motivated other buyers who were watching to start ordering. This tactic is what is called social proof in marketing. People love to do what others do. Therefore, incorporating social proof in your marketing strategy will help you convert more buyers. This was a life-changing moment for Joy and her entire family. So I want you to take a few seconds to imagine that moment when everything you've prayed for, wished for, and worked for comes to pass right before your eyes. I want you to really imagine that day, because if you stay on track long enough, the tables will turn in your favor and you'll be victorious at the end. The beginning of the end. Despite her success on TV, Joy was about to face a bigger battle that was threatening to crash all her dreams. The journey to success is never a straight road. It's a long walk filled with endless battles and trials. It turned out that her manufacturer, who oversaw the production of the mops, was constantly increasing the cost of production, which was negatively affecting her bottom line. At first, Joy refused to pay for the price increases, but unbeknownst to her, her half-sister Peggy, in collaboration with her father, visited the manufacturer and cleared off the incurring cost. This left Joy with more debt than she could handle. And after learning of that, she decided to strip Peggy of her role and take it upon herself to fix the problem. Another lesson here for entrepreneurs is be careful who you have on your team. Ensure that anyone you're working with has your best interest at heart. In the formative years of a business, you might need to take up multiple roles. The legal battle for ownership. Joy visited her manufacturer in California, and in the course of her visit, she made some strange discovery. She discovered that her designs had been patented by a different company. It turned out that she was not properly advised by her lawyer. The genesis of it all began when Trudy's lawyer did a patent search at the beginning to determine if Joy's product was already patented. He discovered that someone in Hong Kong had a similar product, and he told her that the man, Mr. Christopher, had a representative in Dallas, Texas. Therefore, Joy was expected to pay royalties for the patent to protect against any form of claims. But coincidentally, the same representative in Texas also owned the manufacturing plant which Joy would be using. Everything looked fishy at first, and Tony, Joy's ex-husband, expressed his concerns about that, but he wasn't taken seriously. To compound the problem further, Trudy's lawyer did not specialize in Joy's line of business. This led to a series of misinformation that pushed Joy into trouble. Therefore, it's important when starting your business to only consult the right legal professionals who are properly versed in your field. That could save you lots of money and time. At that point, Joy was convinced it was all over. She was almost $500,000 in debt, and everything she's worked for was dissipating right before her eyes. The people who sang her praises before, who were also responsible for her predicaments, now turned against her, berating her, making her feel she wasn't cut out for the business and entrepreneurship stuff in the first place. In addition, she was asked to declare bankruptcy to contain her losses. It seemed like the end of the road for her. But just like the popular saying goes, the night is darkest just before dawn. Not knowing what else to do, Joy decided to go through the legal and contract papers once again, and in the process, she made some dark discovery. Armed with this information, she paid one last visit to Mr. Derek, the representative in Texas. It was a risky venture, but one that was necessary. When she met with Mr. Derek, she exposed everything she had discovered to him. It turned out that this was a case of fraud and deceit. While going through the paperwork, she discovered that their mobs didn't bear any kind of similarities at all, which meant that she was never meant to pay any sort of royalties to Mr. Christopher or Derek. Earlier on, she had called Mr. Christopher in Hong Kong to inquire about the differences in their designs. Surprisingly, she discovered that all the information provided by Mr. Derek has been false. Therefore, paying over $50,000 in advance royalties to Mr. Derek on behalf of Christopher was a case of fraud and embezzlement. Seeing he has been exposed, this struck fear into the heart of Mr. Derek, and he promised to pay back all the royalties coupled with an additional $50,000 plus interest. Fortunately, Joy was more than ready, and she made him sign the papers, stripping him of all financial rights to the patent. That was the end of every case against her. Not only was she free from any patent disputes, she now had full ownership of her product and patent rights. Ladies and gentlemen, when it seems all is over, always remember that these too shall pass. The success of the Miracle Mop created a pathway for Joy to create more household products. Today, she has over 100 record-setting patents, and over the years, she's been able to create and sell over $3 billion worth of household products to American consumers. Giving back. Oprah Winfrey once stated, "For every one of us that succeeds, it's because there's somebody there to show you the way out." For Joy, family is everything. She never forgot everyone who played a role in getting her to the top. Everyone had a place in her company, including her ex-husband, who became the executive vice president of her company, Ingenious Designs. She also created the Joy Mangano Foundation, where she's a mentor to those who want to create a business, product or service and don't know exactly how to start. She also launched a business TV series, America's Big Deal, where she provides a platform for inventors and small business owners to sell their product live on air to home viewers and stand the chance of selling a life-changing deal with one of the retail giants sponsoring the show. To round up this piece, we'll take one final advice from Joy herself. When asked by Parade.com, what's your biggest lesson you want to share about the path your life has taken, she responded, "Something I learned along the way is that you really have to have courage in life. You can do amazing things on any level. It doesn't have to change the world. It can just impact the people around you. That's just as amazing. I also always share that you have to be passionate about what matters to you." Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of this video and want to appreciate you for staying patiently with us till the end. It shows you're willing to finish what you started, and that is a great entrepreneurial trait. Joy will be proud of you. To learn more about Joy, you can get her book Inventing Joy on Amazon. Also, before you click away, please like and share this video. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, click on the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you'll be the first to be notified whenever we drop a new video. See you next week. Just to myself. It's making happen.